Live. I am Evan Matthews, co-founder of Macroverse, and at the moment I am joined by Julian, the creator. Just done a bunch of fun stuff in the Web3 world and well beyond the Web3 world as well, including just coming back from working on shooting some music videos and commercials and things like that. So,
Not
Julian,
commercials, but yeah.
okay, not commercials, music videos, more fun
Yeah.
commercials.
Yeah.
But before we dive into some drawing here, I mean, for anyone that isn't familiar with you, do you want to just tell people a little bit about you?
Yeah, sure. I am a cartoonist, illustrator. Got my start at the New Yorker magazine. Worked there for a little bit as a cartoonist. Then worked for Take Two Interactive for a while, designing stories and comic books and IP for them.
Yeah.
And after that, went pretty much full freelance, doing storyboards and illustrations and animation and just kind of the general hustle of freelance work, which was really fun. And in 2021, I found out about NFTs. So got a good jump start there. Had a really intense ride with one of the projects that I founded, but learned a lot and am completely convicted in the space. So I'm still here drawing. The opportunities there, and yeah, excited to be here.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in. And hello, Amber.
Hi everyone, how are you?
Hi. Do you want to give
Hello.
just a quick shout out before we get started? And just I know Amber has some very cool stuff going on as well. Do you want to just tell people a little bit about you?
Sure. So my name is Amba. My internet handle is amba.c. I primarily post on Instagram, but occasionally I go on TikTok, and I also have a Twitter and now Threads, which is becoming popular slowly. Um, I have been. I first met Evan and Adam in 2021, and they've both generously mentored me for the past 2 years, now going on three, I think. Um, and yeah, like getting to know the founders of Macroverse has been an incredible experience. Evan and Adam are both incredibly kind and patient, and I couldn't have asked for any better mentors. Um, I just graduated from university in May, and I'm currently working as a concept artist and illustrator for a startup video game company. So I'm working on adapting my art style to different projects, and kind of having that flexibility and developing my art style constantly. So that's me.
That's
Just be
awesome.
real. Yeah.
Amba also has a comic that we've been working on with her, which is her own original creation, which at some point will come out through Macroverse, which is awesome. It's dark and beautiful and just original and fantastic. So can't wait for people to see that. And she's doing one of the shorts for the Wanderers Project, which we're in
Yes.
of as well, which is very cool. So very fun stuff. I think we'll have a few more people coming in. I'm getting some emails that weather and internet issues are happening at the moment, but it'll either be us or we might have a few other people join. But either way, we'll have a good time. So the point of this stream, for anyone that doesn't know, is we have a place in the Macroverse Discord where you can come and post your characters. So when we say characters, mostly we mean PFPs in this particular context, but we think of them as characters in these worlds that we can tell stories in. And so post your characters, and from time to time, probably more frequently in the coming days, we will choose some of those characters, do drawings of them, and then I will mint them and drop them back into the wallets of the people that posted them. So it's really just for creative fun, community engagement, and just having a good time doing our interpretations of the characters that people post. And I always think it's, if it were me, what a cool thing to get to see this thing that I, kind of minted, interpreted by a different artist, and then just have it kind of show back up in a new, cool way. So that's what we're out to do. I threw a handful of these characters into an email and sent it out to these guys. So I don't know if you have identified one that you want to do, and we'll have about a hour and a half or 2 hours to do whatever we do, however many of them we can get to. And I'll let you guys pick if you want to just dive right in. So I'm going to switch over to Clip Studio. Unless either of you want this koala with the mask here, I'm going to tackle this one. But otherwise, choose wisely and have fun.
All right. Thanks, Evan.
I saw the email first, and I just saw it was the one at the top, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Now I'm just, paralyzed by choice.
It's a bunch of fun ones, indeed.
Wait, is Macroverse? Did you take on Bulls on the Block as well?
No, we've just got some community members who are big fans, and so we don't. It's not a requirement that these be Macroverse projects that get posted in the.
Got it.
A lot of them are, but it's also fun to just let people bring the things that they love.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Well, I saw this one first, so I think I was kind of vibing the samurai guy.
Awesome.
All right, I'm gonna switch to my high tech streaming service. You guys
Love
ready?
it. I think this is the best part of the show today. I love it. I love it.
Do you have any format restrictions? Are you going like square or?
Yeah, I'm going square just to kind of stick with the traditional kind of PFP aesthetic,
Yeah.
But by all means, if you have a different idea in mind, I think it's really, there were a few years ago, there was a big thing of like draw this in your style challenges on Instagram. So I kind of think of this kind of like that, where it's like, just a chance to do whatever you want with it, interpret it, whatever you feel like.
Awesome.
Since they are going to get minted, the only thing I would suggest is just keeping them relatively high resolution.
Okay.
So whatever you feel comfortable.
No pixel art. All right, I'm switching over.
Unless you're doing pixel art, yeah.
I like the one with the mohawk and like the mohawk and the little the mouth mask or something. I'm gonna go.
Which one is that?
That one.
Can you point your camera at it or let us see?
Yes. It is like it is. Oh my God! This is so working so perfectly.
I love it. I really do. It kind of makes me want to switch to my iPad so I can do the same thing. But oh, that's cool. Okay, yes, this is a broadsider, I believe. Yeah, really cool collection, really cool project. Yeah.
This one.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I want to see you do that one too. Very good.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna switch over then to my setup.
Go for it. Oh, cool. And Julian, this is GSA agent. Happen to know that one is owned by Max Phoenix. So shout out to Max.
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
What's up, Max?
Hello.
Can you guys see my screen okay? Is this working?
Yeah, totally working.
All right. Nice. I can only hear you guys though, so at this point.
So, that's fine.
Yeah. Remind me your name. Other person streaming.
Amba.
Amba. Cool. Nice.
Amba. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. How did you link up with Evan?
I'm on. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I met Evan on this house team. Through that, I was my art, and then Evan and I we just meet, and then Evan and Adam both toured me to help me complete a comic that I've been working on for a couple of years. So yeah, that's kind of how I've met up with them, pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Julian, I don't know if Amber, you cut out for me for just a second, but we met on Clubhouse in the early days. And I forgot what the room was. I don't remember if it was specifically NFT related or if it was something else, like just kind of art and creativity related. but somehow we connected on there and then started talking, and then turned out that she was in art school and working on this comic, and she showed some of her stuff, and I was like, this is awesome, can we help in some way? And it turned out we could, and there we are.
Amazing. Yes, it's pretty tricky just getting a handle of everything, like what you guys are doing with printing and distribution and everything like that. Trying a comic too is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, yes. It is. People don't realize, I think, how much goes into making comics, especially making good comics.
You have to be kind of
both
guilty a little bit.
Yeah. You're both guilty of making good comics, I think.
Oh, thank you. You as well.
Oh, thanks.
Keep trying these on different layers. I wish I could see what you guys are working on at the same time. That'd be really fun. I'm gonna have to fix my high-tech video setup next time.
Next time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to fix mine as well.
I really appreciate you embracing the lo-fi nature of coming and doing this anyway. It's awesome.
I don't want to miss out, so thanks for your patience. This.
Julian, when you were making comics for, you said Take Two, right?
Yeah.
Was that an initiative of theirs where they were like, hey, we want to make comics? Or were you going to like, hey, you guys should make comics?
It was them, actually. It was kind of a really strange opportunity that I got. I basically was, I believe I applied to the job via Craigslist when that was still happening.
Yeah.
And it was just like the way that it was advertised was like an illustrator opportunity. Just come in for like a trial thing. And so I go to this trial thing, and the first person that I meet is Bill Jemas, who is the old president of Marvel Comics. And he's there, just like, and it's me and like kind of like a bullpen of other artists. And then we drew for like maybe an hour and a half. And then at the end of it, he was like, you, and you. And then after that, we went to work, and so their kind of business model was to license and create like lots of intellectual property via comic books, because it was like a relatively inexpensive way to create and license IP.
Yeah.
And so my job there was a storyboard artist, and basically it was kind of, they were treating the comics creation similar to the pipeline of animation, where you would get a script, it would go to me or one of the other storyboard artists, and we would essentially draw the comic as a single frame, like without any kind of like page design. It was just, they were all the same angle, actually a lot like Macroverse, where it was formatted for a vertical phone screen. And and then draw the storyboards, and then those were shipped off to illustrators, who then like completed and penciled it and had it colored. And in this way, we were able to create comics relatively easy.
Mm-hmm.
There was people that have worked with Bill, either hate him or love him. There's definitely a lot of there's a little bit of pushback from Take Two.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately me and a few other artists kind of left after a period of time, because it was going sideways a little bit. And I think it was just a difference of like Bill's vision with what the company was offering, and or what Take Two's goals were. So closed down, but it was pretty fun. I mean, I got to draw a few covers for them as well. some of them were in Bleeding Cool magazine, which I felt like very cool at the time.
Totally.
Yeah, it was a good time. Drew a lot. And when I left, I put all of my drawings from that time there. I was there for 3 years onto a hard drive. And when everything was kind of closing down, I basically, took the train home with my hard drive and then left it on the train.
Oh.
So it was one of those like kind of first lessons in like the kind of impermanence of the stuff that you create. Like it's here for however long it's here. But art is that kind of that mirror of culture or whatever. It's temporary. Is what I was trying to say.
Do you like to believe that someone found it and is just enjoying your treasure trove of work?
I would like to think that. I actually never even thought about that, someone finding it. But of course, someone probably did. They probably just were like, "Oh, gross," and then just used it to house all of their baby photos and Bitcoin. Hopefully, I don't know.
So what they don't know is they're using that to like store their private keys for the wallet that holds some of the things that you've created now as NFTs. It's like,
yeah, so I'm adjacent to crypto now, I'd say.
Yes. That's funny.
Yeah. What was your break-in, Evan? What kind of got you interested in comics and storytelling and stuff like that?
So, I mean, I learned to read from comics. So that goes, comics are just part of my DNA from the earliest part of my childhood. I don't know why, like before I could read, there was, I was a Superman kid. So before I could read, there was something about Superman that just appealed to, the core of my child being. So I lived in Superman underoos from the time that I could ask to live in Superman underoos. And my parents would tell you that, I grew up in Savannah, Georgia. So they would tell you that they have no idea how I survived the heat and humidity of doing that in tights. But I basically wore that everywhere until my school told me that I could no longer come to school dressed as Superman. So my logical brain decided that was the time to adopt my secret identity. So I started wearing my costume under my clothes. And so I was early.
Did you ever have So do you ever have a moment where you had to like, rip off your clothes and be Superman? Because I feel like that would have felt extra cool being prepared all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there was a moment where it was like time to get in, like leap into action. But definitely every day after school, part of the ritual was, pulling the shirt open and doing the transformation, unfurling the cape, which is tucked down the back of my pants, all that good stuff. So that was like the earliest days of like something about that kind of colorful costume character. And then I learned to read from comics. I've collected comics off of spinner racks from the time that I discovered them. And then through middle school was doing the weekly trek to the comic store. And then I was also drawing since I was 2 years old. And so the normal kind of combination of those things of loving the characters and learning to read and then drawing at the same time, like I just started drawing and emulating, what I was seeing in comics. And then that led to trying to make my own and initially thinking I was going to become a professional comics artist. One thing that I don't think I say very often is like I got accepted to RISD, which is Rhode Island School of Design, one of the top art schools in the country. And on my way there, was at Dragon Con, which is a comic convention in Atlanta, and I had done a bunch of samples. This was when Malibu Comics was just after Image left Malibu, and they were kind of spinning up their own comics division. And they had a couple of characters I liked, and I had done some sample pages with one of those characters and got an offer to, draw one of those books on my way to art school and ultimately turned it down to go to school.
Whoa.
And which was, yeah, kind of a real decision moment, because here's the thing: I've been working for, my whole adolescence. I thought, like, I'm gonna go, be one of these, kind of image kind of founders at that point. Not founders, but that kind of that was
Yeah.
when the 90s comic scene was really exploding. And so, like, not only did I want to draw comics, but man, people were making like real money in comics at that point.
Right. Yeah,
And
that was the heyday, right? With like McFarlane and all those guys.
yep. And that's part of, this is a whole slightly different topic, but it's part of why, like, the market for NFTs right now, like, feels a lot like the 90s post bubble comics market. I actually think there's a lot of lessons and overlap for where we are now compared to what that all looked like.
Right. Well, that's promising, because comics definitely came back.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so tangent, but yeah, comics came back, and they came back in a way that didn't look like the hype of the 90s comic market. They came back with real stories, real characters, things that made sense for their media. So I think there's a lot of correlation and lessons to kind of be thought about and learned from in that, in that thinking or in that process. Because, the 90s comic market was a speculator bubble. Sounds kind of familiar. And had to evolve from there. But, so I went to RISD, and then came out the other side deciding that I wasn't going to draw comics professionally at that point. I started a branding and media agency by recruiting some of my professors, and then went down that road. And then it took me a little while to come back around to kind of the storytelling side of things, but that was always kind of where my heart and soul was, is like wanting to do things that had narrative. And even some of the projects that we got to do at the agency, often had some kind of a pop culture or storytelling kind of, vibe to them. We were doing kind of high-end interactive web development, and a lot of that stuff was kind of at the intersection of some kind of either animation or story, or even the advertising stuff that we were doing was like, hey, can you make monsters jump out of a Nissan as they screech across your browser screen, and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun material, even if it wasn't actually creating the stuff. But I always wanted to create the stuff. And so as my career continued, that was the thing that kind of drew me back ultimately to what we're doing now, is this desire to tell my own stories and help other people tell their own stories and create content that I wanted to see. And it just kind of all evolved from there.
Amazing. Yeah, this is you have like the most like, I feel like I would say probably like deserving comic story out there, just being so consistent, in that. So it's admirable. It's really good.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think the thing is, I love the medium so much, and I've, not just a student of the art form, but also like just so fascinated by the way that comics connect with people. Even my daughter, it's like, she is not particularly excited about reading in general, but she found this one graphic novel series, which is about dragons, and had fallen in love with it. And that's the thing that she decided that was worth her spending her own time not playing Roblox to read. And that led her to this novel series, which is based on the same characters. And so I still think there's this really interesting phenomenon that we as young people often respond to visual storytelling in a way that is less exciting for a lot of kids than prose. And that bridge from starting to learn to read, to engage with characters, to fall in love with worlds, like, so much of that I think is really powerful. And then as we develop our own sensibility, like, being able to learn how to tell stories in that format and how to think about moment to moment, kind of relationships in visuals. It's one thing to do something with a single image, which is its own skill set. But when you have to think about the relationship between multiple images, that teaches someone's brain how to interpret those, relationships to divine a narrative that's really happening in between the pictures, is a whole other way of approaching making stuff. And I think it's a skill set in and of itself that is underrated by people that don't quite understand how that all works.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a very specific and I would argue like challenging skill set. Like I think a lot of people, they you slap a couple word bubbles on pictures, like I made a comic, but it doesn't really read. Like the that really that not just the illustration, but like the guiding the eye through pictures with like negative space and yeah, it's not easy. But it's I mean, like I was in the same camp. Like the first books that I really read and really gravitated towards were picture books, were comics. For kind of the same reason. So yeah, it's sad that it's still. I think it had a moment for a little bit where it became graphic novels instead of comics. But I feel like in people's minds, it's kind of fallen back a little bit into comics. Like it's definitely cool and like more cool than it was. But there's this like crazy history in the States anyway with like the Comics Code Authority and like this whole ravaging of the medium. To be fair, I mean like one of the first stories that I ever read was from this book that was the Aliens Omnibus. Are you familiar with that one at all? I think it was Dark Horse that did it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It is so dark.
Yeah.
I picked it up at a tag sale, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, Aliens, that's cool. Like, I like Aliens. Not having seen the movie or anything. Like, I was like 10. And there's like people like, getting, their guts splayed out and it's, they're, doing human experiments and this whole thing. And I was like, oh my God. And, didn't I mean, I shared it with my friends, of course, but like after that, it was like, pretty much nightmare fuel for a while. And looking back on it, I was like, I can't recall any piece of literature, like even like some of Stephen King's books that like makes me feel that kind of same guttural reaction. Maybe it's just I'm desensitized now. I don't know, but
I think that's
yeah.
Well, but yeah. Yeah. No, I think, and that's post Comics Code Authority. So yeah, for anyone that doesn't know the Comics Code, it's a fascinating, not just moment in comics, but kind of a fascinating moment in U.S. history where, we will always look for something to scapegoat. And in the 1950s, there was a particular psychologist that decided that comics were the thing that was corrupting America's youth. And he wrote a book called The Seduction of the Innocent. And there were hearings in Congress, and ultimately the comics industry, rather than being regulated by the government, decided to impose their own code, kind of like the music industry in the 90s. That was the Comics Code Authority. And so what it essentially did was put the largest publisher, which was EC Comics, out of business, because most of their material was more mature and it was horror and it was crime, and those were all the things that got identified as corrupting the innocent. And that, for better or worse, is what actually kind of gave rise in large part to superheroes, is that without the horror and crime side of the industry, superheroes really started to thrive as the kind of the mainstream of American comics.
I wonder where it would have went if it wasn't for that. Like what kind of, if we didn't have superheroes, it was just a bunch of like pulpy stories. Like I do think there's like it's hard to put a finger on it, but I do feel like there are moments where culture influences art, but then art also influences culture. You know, when we get a lot of zombie things, for example, like a lot of zombie media, it feels like everything's in, you know, it's everything feels like it's about to go into disarray, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but
I,
um,
I
like The
definitely,
Simpsons keep predicting stuff. I keep seeing them like predicting things.
no doubt. Yeah. No, I definitely think, I mean, art is supposed to reflect culture, and it's the things that we think about. Good art says something about the person making it, or the people that are receiving it, or a dialogue between the two. So, I think that is 100%, whether we're talking about comics or movies or paintings. It's like, there's something that's being reflected back from people's experience, um, which, yeah, is often even only visible in retrospect, is often a portent of things to come.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I asked you before, but where did you fall into wanting to make a comic and make comics in general, or just that interest in the art form?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. I think like I was very much the same way where I kind of like learned about storytelling through comics as a child. My very first comic was it was Lenore the Cute Little Dead Girl or something like that, by
Mm-hmm.
Roman Durd. And it was one of my first ones. And I think like I got into comics and then I got into film and movies. And
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, like watching the way in which directors and filmmakers made film made me want to explore how I can convey an image from film on paper in a comic, and how like if a filmmaker could create something as powerful on screen that captivates an audience, why can't someone do this? And found that comics just um, shared so much in common, and
Yeah,
that sparked my interest in wanting to comics and figuring out how to take the elements from storytelling in film and putting it into comics and graphic novels.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
But do you have any like favorite movies that really films that did that for you, or?
um oh my god,
I'm asking
like
selfishly because I don't have a movie to watch tonight. Just
no, it's okay. I said oh my god because like when I first like was started like my mentorship with Evan and Adam, they introduced me to Fight Club, and I got like really obsessed with it
oh yeah,
actually 2 summers ago. So like that's like one of my favorite movies because um analyzing film as well, and like especially with movies like Fight Club, there's a lot of hidden themes in it that I feel that a lot of people don't see as much. But Fight Club is my favorite movie. I got a lot into animated movies recently. I watched The Cat Returns recently.
Mm,
That was really
that's
cute.
awesome. My daughter
oh, I
loves
haven't heard of that one.
it.
Yeah.
It's Miyazaki. It's great. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Is it new? Did he
Yeah. And
No,
do?
not new at all, but it's on. It is on HBO on the
that's
Studio
Okay.
Ghibli tab. Yeah.
and another favorite one
Amazing.
of mine like is Coraline, I think. I've seen that film I think hundreds of times. When I was a kid, I first watched that film. Um, I had a notebook and I tried to rewrite all of the dialogue in my notebook so I could understand and quote unquote hack or understand how the writers were able to come up with the dialogue that they did. When I was a kid, I bought the graphic novel version of Coraline and actually tried to draw like all of the pages into a notebook so I could kind of learn how to do comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, Coraline, Fight Club, yeah, are my favorite movies actually.
That's
good,
awesome.
Good list.
What were your all? Sorry.
Oh no, go.
What were your all? To everyone on the stream, like, what were your first comics that you ever kind of read?
Good question. I mean, definitely Superman comics for me. I pretty like the most visceral memory of reading comics for me is Spider-Man comics. Like definitely the Ditko era. I think was when I really started to have kind of some more emotional reaction to the characters and the stories. And I think, it's a little cliche, but it's so much what makes Marvel stand apart from DC was definitely true for me. And that, you're dealing with characters that are people first, and superheroes is often a burden to have to bear as opposed to the gods that are most of the DC heroes. So I definitely have visceral memories of reading Spider-Man comics, and then in like middle school, I became an X-Men fanatic, and I think for similar reasons. Like here are stories about characters that are trying to figure out where they belong in the world, and they're going through changes, and all the things that really kind of speak to adolescence in a lot of ways.
I actually missed all of the superhero books because when I started getting into comics, it was really through Pokemon cards. Going to the comic shop and picking up Pokemon cards, which I never played, but just collected like my friends, and we would just open these packs of Pokemon cards and be like, "Ooh, I got this one." Not too dissimilar from what's been happening in the NFT world right now, but yeah. But I always liked the pictures in them. But for one, they were the same price as a pack of Pokemon cards, so I kind of went for the Pokemon cards. And they also were at this stage where it was like this deep lore had been established. Mm-hmm. And so the issues were like Superman's wedding, and like Spider-Man goes to Vegas for the weekend. There's like these kind of like weird comic stories where like when you opened up the pages, they were just kind of like talking and walking around, maybe punching a guy in one panel, but the story was so like so established and so far behind. It was like Superman issue like 217 or something. Yeah. And there weren't a lot of like I mean, the comics store guy was, he's your typical like kids get out of my store kind of thing. It was not super friendly. He wasn't like, hey, you should pick up this issue, like it's a good entry point kind of thing. He was like, it's not a library, don't look at it, get out. But then graphic novels kind of started to spin up like when I was just I think just in high school, and like I think Mouse was the first one that I read, which was by Art Spiegelman.
Yeah.
And that really like suddenly I was like, oh, it's all contained into one story. And then after that was Frank Miller's Ronin.
Yeah.
Which was like, oh my God, this is this is so cool. And that's when I started to really kind of get into the idea of making these things as well. I was, before that, I was making films as well. Like I was doing like a lot of movies and films with my friends. But the opportunity for any story that you want was available through illustration, and I found that really attractive at the time. You could have a samurai alien, or for example, like battling, like, and with the budget that I had at the time, which was zero. It was almost more fun to play in that space of storytelling where like there's kind of an infinite possibilities for creating and crafting stories.
Absolutely. And Julian, were you a kid that like also was drawing all the time, or was that something you came to kind of in that process?
A bit of both. I think, like all kids, like I had, my parents were actually very supportive. There's a little picture on the fridge, something that I drew. But I didn't really get serious about drawing until I think I was in like high school, and that's when it really kind of I started to really get excited about drawing. I really wanted to draw strips, like funny newspaper comic strips. I just thought that was like, I think, to be honest, a lot of it I think may have been just because I was like, that seems like a really easy job. Turns out it's not.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the more challenging career paths that you can take, but through it, I did find it, actually very rewarding. I was 50-50 going to art school or going to a trade school to become a plumber. So, and then I was like, oh no, art school sounds like more fun. So here I am. Still could be a plumber though. There's still time,
Yeah, there's
see what.
We'll see what happens. The crypto price is crashing right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I'll come over and fix your plumbing, man. No worries. I got you.
It's good to have that friend.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's kind of a fun way to spend your time.
And then you have done some strips, though, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, well, so my feather in my cap is that I went out of, or I'll tell you the story because we got time. But I graduated from college, and I said I want to draw cartoons for the New Yorker magazine. And so I was in New York at the time, and it was like a sign, like I was working, I was just like walking dogs to make cash, and it was like a sign. I see this big bright sign on the horizon that says the New Yorker, and I was like, I'm going to submit cartoons to the New Yorker magazine. So I get a bunch of cartoons together, and then I proudly walk to this bright neon sign called the New Yorker. It turns out that's the New Yorker hotel, and they don't sell cartoons there. But the person at the desk kindly pointed me to Condé Nast, which was a building near Times Square where they were accepting cartoons.
That's amazing.
And I went in just completely full of ego. I don't know. I was just like, I was feeling it. And actually sold my the very first cartoon that I put in there, which they actually never ended up publishing. It was a bunch of rich people, like wealthy kind of individuals in tuxedos sitting around like a banquet of food and drink, and one person saying to the other one, "My goodness, Jeffrey, these poor people are delicious." And they bought it, but they never published it. And so I went back and submitted 10 cartoons to them a week for the next 5 years, and didn't sell a single one. And then after that, sold a few over the next few years, I guess like 2 or 3 years, sold a couple. And that's kind of, at that point I was like, okay, I'm funny, but I'm not like professionally funny. So I'm going to just try and like navigate, keep the feather in my cap, like publish cartoons there, but try and find, ways to actually, make a living doing this thing. So, that was that was my short stint at the New Yorker magazine.
That's more than most. It's awesome.
That's so cool.
I get to, it's really fun. And you can still go in and meet with Emma Allen, who's the editor there now. And you can still meet with her in person. And all you need to do is have 10 cartoons in some sort of state. They don't even need to be completely finished. They just need to be conveying the idea and pitch them.
That's cool.
You can also mail them in. And the New Yorker will also still send you a very nicely laminated rejection letter.
Yes.
Which is, do you have one of those? They're really fun. It's like thick cardstock. I was like, God, these things are got to be getting expensive for them.
Yeah. I don't have New Yorker ones, but I have multiple Marvel Comics submission rejection letters.
Oh, nice. Those are kind of fun to like keep framed up, a little reminder kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's super cool.
Did you ever end up
Can
working
I
with Marvel, Evan? Or
Oh, sorry.
oh yeah, go for it.
Go ahead, Emma.
Oh, sorry. Can I ask, like, what is it like apply like these majors and then to get like rejected by them? Like, what is it like to through that?
I mean, it's not what you want, but
Right. I think there's a little, I don't know, I can speak personally, like I think there's always a little part of me going into it that's thinking like, no way. You know what I mean? Like you're going up to this opportunity and you're like, hey, it's me. In the back of your brain, you're like, this isn't gonna work. You know? So when they're like, no, you're like, okay, you know, but happy I did it. But sometimes you'd be surprised. Like you go in there, you say like, "Hey, this is me," and they're like, "Oh, actually, this is you could work on something here." You know, and you're like, "Oh, all right," and then you get imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Oh, wait a minute, I completely lied." But it's okay because you got the work. So
Damn.
shut up and take it.
I'm the
That's
annoying
cool.
other guy. Like I'm the one that's always like, I'm totally gonna get this, and then gets the rejection letter.
That's amazing. I like the confidence though, man. That's key.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
I
cool.
mean, I every time I send samples into Marvel, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be drawing X-Men when I'm, and I think the first one I sent in, I was like 12 or 13 or something. I'm gonna be drawing X-Men next week. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, the funny thing is, I do think like, of course, like I have the same the same kind of questions around like, am I good enough at times and those sorts of things. And but I think, I'm always of the opinion, and I've sort of trained myself to be of the opinion that it's like you have to go for it, you have to try it, because it is that kind of cliche. If you don't try, you're definitely not going to get it. And when for me, like the reason I ended up even in Los Angeles is when I graduated from art school. They were getting ready to make the Star Wars prequels, and huge Star Wars fan. Like there was nothing in the world I wanted more than to work on those Star Wars prequels. So I like put together a whole portfolio of concept art, and it's like I just want to go make spaceship designs and things for Star Wars. And I couldn't get a hold of anybody at Lucasfilm, so like I put myself on a plane and went to San Francisco, and I was like, I'm gonna figure out how to track someone down to go show them my portfolio.
Amazing.
And Doug Chang, who was the art director on the prequels, like I found, like this is back at a time when you could look people up in the phone book. I found him in the Yellow Pages. I called him on the phone and was like, "Hey, I'm in San Francisco. Like, I've got a portfolio I'd love to show you." And he's like, "Well, weirdly, it's my day off today. And where are you staying?" And I told him. He's like, "Well, you're like right around the corner. So I guess like come over and I'll take a look." And so I ended up going and checking my portfolio. And then the weirdest part of that story is that the only reason he agreed to do with me was because my hotel was so close. And it turns out that the place that I was staying had the street name of a place that was right around the corner from him, but it was actually like an hour and a half away. And so just that like crazy circumstance. And then
Was he upset when he figured it out?
No, we kind of laughed about it. And it was kind of like, wow, it's amazing. But he liked the stuff, and like I was probably one interview away from working on the prequels, and then found out that my like over one Christmas, my dad got diagnosed with prostate cancer, and he's fine, but at the time it was a big deal. And then he also found out that my stepmom was cheating on him, and kind of all that combined, they were living in Ojai, which is a little bit north of Los Angeles. And my little brother, who's 14 years younger than me, has always been really important to me. And so I ended up moving to Ojai to support him and help with my little brother and all that good stuff. So that's why I didn't work on the prequel story. But it's also that always stuck with me of like that willingness to like truly go for it. is the only way that I even would have ever had that chance. And so I think it's, it's the thing I try to impart to people. It's like, if you have something you really want to do, it's like, you're not going to lose. You're never going to regret the things that you really put your heart and soul into trying to do. You're only ever going to regret the things that you didn't try. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Very motivational. That's the clippable moment of the podcast. Yeah. That's awesome.
No, thanks so much.
I mean,
for
you could have been the one that stopped them from. Yeah, you could have stopped them from putting in Jar Jar Binks.
Oh man, now it's my fault. They're gonna come for me on the internet.
What did Jar Jar Binks say?
I think it's so funny because I think, Amber, your generation and younger kind of grew up with that as like that's Star Wars, and there's even like a little bit of love for Jar Jar at this point. Whereas I think us, who grew up with the original trilogy, just felt like it was weird. It was too silly and it felt too much like a kid's movie, I think, is why there was so much hate for Jar Jar. Initially, and now there's a resurgence of all of that stuff. I will say, like, for me, the prequels have been largely redeemed, number one, by how much I did not like the latest round of Star Wars movies in general, but also by if anyone hasn't watched the Clone Wars series, I think season 1 is a little rocky, but by the time you get into season 2 and beyond, it's fantastic. And it's kind of everything I think we wished that those of us who didn't love the prequels wished that the prequels were. And it just really fleshes out that era of the universe in such a great way, in my opinion.
Which, sorry, I spaced out for a second. Which sequels are those?
So the animated Clone Wars series.
I haven't watched that yet.
They're really, really fantastic. So I think season 1, still has a bunch of rough edges, so you kind of just have to watch it to get the story. But I think they really hit their stride in season 2, and then season 3 through the end of the series is just like some of the best Star Wars that's ever been made.
Whoa, love that.
Yep.
I was a huge fan of the Animatrix when that came out.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of taking on like the kind of is it linear, or is it kind of like an anthology, like different creative teams kind of putting their spin on it? Because I think I watched something where it was like a samurai version of Star Wars. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, super cool. That's Star Wars Visions, which is really cool. And Visions. I love the fact that we're living in an era of anthologies. I think there's so much, like Love, Death, and Robots, Star Wars Visions, like giving people an opportunity to put their own creative spin on things. Kind of what we're doing right now. I love the fact that that's become something that's viable, and more of it, please. But Clone Wars is more linear. It's a kind of one long story. And like the Ahsoka story that's about to come out, like the Ahsoka series, even the Mandalorian to a large degree is, Dave Filoni, who was one of the creative forces on Clone Wars, and so it's got the right vibes, and it's kind of giving us a new way into the universe, which I think really works, in my opinion.
Amazing. Yeah, I do like when you have like this kind of established lore, and then various artists and creative teams kind of take control and put spin on it, because you have that existing knowledge of the characters already. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to really, take that important story bit and explain like, why they're here, or, what they're doing. It's just kind of like, they are here, they're cool. Check it out, it's Boba Fett.
Used to it.
Yeah, it is. And I'm sure there's something to be said as well from just a production standpoint when you're tasking an entire animation team with like a 15-minute short, versus a feature where they really feel like it's not like, it's like running a sprint, not a marathon. So you can really kind of invest time in making these really interesting shots and kind of dynamic visuals for that thing. Although to be honest, the new Spider-Man honestly feels like the whole thing feels like that to me. That's
so good.
It's so ridiculously overwhelming. I feel like I'm gonna need to watch it like 5 more times.
Oh yeah.
To feel like I've watched everything, and then just more for just funsies.
Yeah, no, we're listening to that right now. But yeah, I think both Spider-Verse movies were so fantastic, but the new one just took it to a whole other level. And I also just love the fact that we're living in a world, and I think largely because of the first Spider-Verse, where people are experimenting with animation styles in a way that really just disappeared for a while. The Pixar look became so prevalent, and I love Pixar, but that aesthetic became so prevalent because of the success of Pixar movies, that it took the Spider-Verse I think to kind of shake things up. And then you get that with Arcana, which also has this incredible kind of living
cool series,
kind of style to it. And then even something like Mitchell and the Machines, which if you haven't seen that on Netflix is great, but it has a whole different aesthetic to it. And like the new Ninja Turtles movie kind of looks like this kind of grungy kind of concept art painted style, and like I think all that's a reaction to how well the Spider-Verse performed, and both creatively and financially.
Yeah, people get upset with studios. I mean, now for a lot of different and obvious reasons, but before we would get upset with studios for just kind of recycling the same stuff over and over again. But as these kind of like big businessy types probably were just making decisions for other big businessy types, they're like, oh, this just works. So as soon as they it feels like every time they take like a second and let people kind of just do their thing and make art, it reflects, it shows, and people really it can set a whole new precedent for it.
Totally.
So yeah, I haven't watched the new Ninja Turtles yet, but I'm very excited to as well. And all of this new stuff that's been coming out feels very like animation positive. And also hopefully we get to this point, because I feel like it's still in its infancy in a lot of ways, that we'll get animation that's not like people aren't like, oh, I'm going to go see a kids movie. I think we might see like really not just indie house cool animation, but like studio level productions that deal with kind of more I guess like mature themes. Yeah.
I think we will start to get some more of that. I think especially on the streamers. I think Love, Death, and Robots is probably the best example of that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And the anthology of that as well. So you get both the more mature themes and also all these different creative interpretations of those themes, which is quite cool. Yeah, but what's your take on the state of animation at the moment?
Sorry?
What's your take on the state of animation at the moment?
The state of animation?
Yeah. Or just what have you been in the world of animation?
I think it's really cool how animation has been introducing, especially like, okay, I'm talking about like in context of my answer, I'm talking about the 3D animation. And I think it's really interesting how in 3D animation, think of like T has been like recently sort of being introduced to the 3D. Some examples of that are like Spider-Verse and like Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
I love like there seems to be now with like 3D characters, and they have like details drawn in their faces or like parts of their bodies that are 2-dimensional. It's like as if someone's taken a marker, and I like that combination. I think it's it's I think it's going to create a really for to be I think it's a bigger opportunity for there to be more experimentation in animation, and I'm with that.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Emma, do you do animation as well?
I don't. I've experimented with animation during university, but I didn't, just not my thing. Do you?
Yeah. Same. I'll do it sometimes, like if there's something specific that I think would be fun to be animated, but not kind of spending most of my time doing it. We had a kind of adage in school that said that illustrators were lazy cartoonists and cartoonists were lazy animators, and I kind of subscribe to that.
Oh my god!
Just in terms of the level of work that kind of goes into each medium. I'll happily draw storyboards. I think those are really fun. I've made quite a few animatics when I was trying to break into the industry a few years ago. But ultimately, I also was kind of like the work-life balance of animators is so brutal.
Yeah.
Like comics is hard. Animation is like, oh my god, and so yeah. I think there are those true, like kind of, full Miyazaki types, that really, froth on the, 20-hour workday. Or I don't know if have you ever seen any of those like photos of like a manga artist's schedule?
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, how do they live?
They don't.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I definitely like making art, and it's a lot of fun, and I think everyone should do it. But not like that, because then you're not really living. It's important to, have a little bit of balance. But by all means, when you get super excited by something, go hard. And I'm saying that, and that I always do that too. If I get into a project and I start on it, it's just like that's all I'm doing and thinking about. It's actually hard for me to enjoy other things. But yeah, balance is good. Animation is hard.
Yeah.
I see on the flyer for like USC or something. It's like balance is good, but animation is hard. Come here.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I interviewed or like took a tour at RISD when I was looking at schools.
Yeah.
And I ran into a student there working at the library, and he was like the most sleep deprived person I think I've seen in my life. Like this dude looked like he was, on some kind of. He looked like the people that you see kind of wandering around at night at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
And I was like, kind of walked up to him and I was kind of like, so what's it like going to school here? And he's like, he said to me, he's like, it's horrible, don't do it.
He's like, kill me.
Yeah. He's like, I haven't slept in days.
That's funny.
And I still applied. I didn't get in, but I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah. No, I think there's no doubt that's true. I think my senior projects often were multiple days of no sleep, no question about it. Or not the senior projects,
yeah.
Final projects.
Yeah, for sure.
The worst, I got my first like major professional job about 2 months before I graduated, and so I was balancing this like big project with MetLife with also like finals, and I think there was a about a month-long period in there where I don't think I slept more than 2 hours a night, and it was just absolutely brutal. I don't even know how I'm still alive after that. But, crazy.
Yeah, sometimes you can
I tried
get
to
good.
do
Oh, go ahead.
thanks. I tried to do animation. Like I had one project in university where I was really ambitious and wanted to animate a loop in but with paper. And I animated everything on just with like layers of paper, and it just I remember like not getting enough sleep and just like oh no.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm sure digital is like is a little bit easier, but like traditional animation, I don't know how people did it. So
It's not that much easier, but it is. Yeah, frame by frame is pretty
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta. I think those guys are just girls are just fast, you know.
Yeah.
Like everything that they do is yeah, just with the quickness. I remember in some of those like thesis projects in school, like one of the kind of unfortunate things. I don't know if you had this, Evan, but they kind of alluded to this fact that like these were these like shining moments in our artistic career, these college projects, and like they would kind of define the outcome of our future in the creative world and space. And so of course it just made everybody just super stressed out
Yeah.
and tired, and like kind of I think it honestly like a few of my classmates like after our like junior thesis I think just dropped out. They're like I don't want to do this,
Mm.
and it made me kind of sad because it's like uh that shouldn't be the case,
It's the beginning, not the end. Yeah.
What?
It's the beginning, not the end.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like this is, I don't know. And when you kind of just when you kind of have fun with it, it just kind of rolls the time. But yeah, as soon as you're like, oh, what does this mean, or how much is this gonna make, or it kind of can start to seep into the brain a little bit, and you're not drawing, you just kind of, I don't know, making marks, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think it's a I think it's going to art school is not. I mean, it's I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this. It's not at all the same, but there is an element of it which I think can feel as much pressure as going to going to med school or anything like that, where it does there is an opportunity to feel like your whole life depends on what happens in this short period of time, and it really doesn't. So
yeah, right. It doesn't.
And now I'm of the feeling where it's like, when people ask me, it's like I always say now it's like I think going to art school is not at all the only way to be an artist. It's just an accelerant. So it's like, I do feel like what I got from 4 years at RISD, like I could have 100% gotten without going to RISD at all. It just would have taken me 10 times longer.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I feel kind of the opposite. I went to School of Visual Arts,
Yeah.
and I felt like I learned a lot of stuff, kind of practical stuff about the industry out of school. And I think it just had a lot to do with the professorship at the time. Like they were awesome, and I think in a lot of ways gave me the true backbone for the way that I approach my work and creating stuff. But like the actual kind of technical knowledge that was required to, work professionally out of school was almost entirely on the fly, which was so like, I was like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, no, I can do that at that certain DPI. I haven't just been drawing on paper for the last 4 years.
Yes. Very true. My biggest complaint, and I caused a little bit of a ruckus when I graduated because I put a letter into every teacher's mailbox in the illustration department that ended up having me have to go talk to the president of the school. But on my way out, I was like, here we are in the illustration department at one of the SR schools in the country. And illustration is a commercial art, which means, we want to use our art to make a living, to create things that we get paid for. And we've spent a lot of time learning how to render things, how to, create the illusion of a texture, or learning to draw from life. And all those are, of course, very important skills. But there was literally one class out of the entire 4 years that had anything to do with what is the actual business of being an illustrator. How do you make a living of that with this thing? And I had to seek that class out. It wasn't even a required class. And it's like, I think it's a little criminal. It's way more expensive now than it was when I went there. But it's like so crazy to go spend tens of thousands, now over $100,000 to get this this piece of paper, and to come out where a lot of people have no idea how to go get a job. So you have so many people who graduate that don't end up working in creative fields because for some of them, because they just don't have the personality to go seek that out for themselves and figure it out. And without that, there actually are things you can do, like understanding how to make a portfolio and how to submit a portfolio and how to talk to people that might be interested in your work, and identifying places that might be interested in your work. And like those are skills just as much as being able to draw a particular thing or understand how to construct a three-dimensional object with shapes and guidelines and things like that. That seems to be largely missing from a lot of the high school programs. That's
100%
for that.
Yeah. Hey guys, I actually have to run. I think what time is it? 5. Yeah, I'm meeting some people, but thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, man. Well, if you want to do any final little bits and pieces to that, feel free. If not, just shoot me the high-res file whenever you're ready, and then I will.
I think I'll get back and finish it this evening. I want to add just like a little bit of color to it, and then I think we'll be good to go.
Dude, it's looking awesome. Max Phoenix, congratulations. That looks so cool.
Man. Little pose with the little leggies. I was kind of having a fun time imagining how he runs, like, I don't know, kind of like a deer sprint. Yeah, but Evan, Abba, wait.
Abba.
Is it? Oh yeah, it was nice to meet you both.
You got it.
I'll say bye from here. It's nice to meet you both. Have a good night or afternoon, wherever you are in the world.
Julian, you and I have a little more to talk about at another time, so we'll circle around. But thanks for joining, and there will be more of you. Yeah,
for sure. All right, guys. Ciao.
Nice meeting you.
Bye.
Bye.
Amber, yours is looking awesome too.
Really? Thank you.
Oh, really? It's awesome. I love it. Look, I think I've said this to you before. I think you have an aesthetic and a style which is unmistakably yours, and it's one of the things I love and I'm a little bit jealous of. So, I see your work and I know it's your work, and some people strive their whole careers to get to that, which is awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. To be able to have a style where people are like, yeah, that's for work. So that means a lot to hear that. So thank you.
Absolutely. It's totally dope.
Yeah. How's yours going? Oh wait. Oh, yours looks so
good.
Cute.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm having fun with her.
Oh, that's super cute. How do we hand these in when we're done? Just
so you'll just send me the high res file, and then I'll take care of the rest.
Okay, cool.
Sounds great.
So Dropbox or Google Drive or email or whatever works.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty close. I'm going to do something in the background and then pretty done.
So
How's
you
everything
said
else
that
going?
you.
Oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead. You first.
So you said that you were almost like correct me if I'm wrong. You were like almost the illustrator for Star Wars.
I was almost in the concept art department on the prequel trilogy. Yeah,
That's really cool. So like you
would have been a whole other life, but it would have been cool.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I mean, what you said that you were able to, like, how you were able to get there was just kind of by trying. And one of our biggest regrets in life is like not trying. So you said that you reached out to people, gave like in person and showed your portfolio to people.
Yeah, so in that case, like I went to San Francisco, which is where where Lucasfilm is, where the Skywalker Ranch is, and then tracked down the person that was the art director on the movie, creative director, and then through a series of, I guess, like force of will and happenstance, managed to get him to meet me. And then, was able to show him my portfolio and he liked it. And we were setting up kind of the follow-up meetings for the other people that would need to sign off. But he felt like, pretty good shot at getting in there. And that's when I found out that, everything was going on with my dad and my brother, and decided to move to California, to move to Ojai, which is outside of LA, instead at that point. So I have no regrets, but it would have been awesome to work on Star Wars.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear that.
But I think the lesson more than anything else for me, and hopefully for other people, is it's like that was something I really, really wanted, and so like most people I think wouldn't have done, like wouldn't have risked necessarily, like actually getting on a plane and traveling someplace and cold calling and like all the things I did to get that meeting. And it was, at the end of the day, it was still worth it because I still had that experience and got to kind of learn from just going for it, just totally going for it.
Yeah. I think like I think it was either you or Julian who like brought up like the imposter syndrome thing. So like, I don't know, like I think what I'm trying to teach myself to do is like, and I've done it before, like is to just do and don't think. But I don't know, like it takes routine to be able to do that. So what I'm really happy with is what I'm really grateful for finishing university is not having the time to be able to actually like practice that. So I don't know, that sounds like it was a really huge opportunity, but I feel that with Macroverse there are bigger things to come. So
no doubt about it.
Yeah, so but I understand that like that was something that you wanted to do. But
well, I think what it meant to me was less about like doing that particular job or working on those particular films, and it was more about like the realization that if I wanted to make something or if I wanted to do something, that I could make it happen one way or another. And that's been something that's been true, ever since then. So I kind of go into things expecting that if I want something to happen and I can figure out the right people to talk to or the right people to get to or the right way to present the idea that I have, then I'm either going to get what I want or I'm going to learn something from the experience that's going to help me, to whatever the next thing is. And so I think that's been the bigger kind of life lesson or, professional lesson there.
Right.
But yeah, and then, yes, I think what I also kind of identified and couldn't have said articulately at the time, but I can put together now, is that, you know, it's like I identify, for better or worse, with, you know, the George Lucases and the Steve Jobses and the you know, the people that I resonate with, that I feel like have significantly made things that people love, and you know, that have meant something to people's lives, and have been responsible for, you know, kind of creating some of the biggest things in our lives. Like those are the heroes to me that I kind of look up to and look towards. And you know, that's a big part of motivation for Macroverse as well, is it's like that's
Yeah.
the kind of person that I want to be.
Yeah. I think that's great that you know that that's the person you want to be. And I think that I think when it comes to running a business and a company, that it's important you know who you are, because it'll reflect in the business. So
Yeah.
that's great. No, I'm super happy to hear that.
How's it going with the other projects that you're doing at the moment?
They're good. They're good. Wanderers is good. I wanted to. I guess I wanted. I didn't check in with you this week because I'm still kind of working on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is on the way, and with my other job, it's kind of settling down a bit now, and with Misophobics, still working on it. I posted something today on my Instagram, and
I
it's
saw
nice
that.
to see some. It's nice to
Amazing.
see some people who are still like the comic and are still waiting for it. So that was kind of really nice to see that.
Yeah. No, it's so cool. Like I can't wait for it to come out, mostly because I think people are going to absolutely be mind blown by what it is. And you know, especially anyone that knows the first version of it, how far it's come. It's so cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm happy school is over so I can focus on my work now. So but yeah, like that's kind of what's going on with me right now. And yeah, how about you?
Yes, all the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the exciting thing for me right now is that, you know, the platform that has been teased ad nauseum, I think is finally ready to start moving towards the launch date. So,
Cool.
yeah, I think that I need to do one more round of testing over the weekend. But if that goes the way I think it will, then alpha, for anyone who's made it this far in the stream, I think we'll have something to say about that at some point next week.
Sounds great.
Very exciting to me.
That sounds super great. That's exciting.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think not quite. Actually, I forgot this one has like little tattoos on her face. So I got to get that in there. Anything else that you've been like watching or listening to, or anything else that's been on your mind as interesting or exciting recently?
I've been watching. I watched that new mini docu-series on Netflix called Painkiller. Have you seen that? Have you seen that one?
Not that one, no.
It's about the
Opioid epidemic.
yeah, but it talks about like the how do I say this? It talks about OxyContin and how Purdue, how it was able to become FDA approved, and kind of like the way in which OxyContin became, I don't know,
So prevalent.
So prescribed.
Yeah.
Heavily prescribed to people, the damages of it, how it affected people, billions, millions of people. But I really liked the way in which the story was like told in the show docuseries. So I think Uzo Aduba was like the main character, so it's like I love her, so I was really happy to see her. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's kind of it, really. I've kind of been like just rewatching old movies that I used to watch when I was a kid. Like I watched The Cat Returns, My Neighbor Totoro.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's kind of it, really. What about you, Evan?
Yeah, let's see. What have I been doing lately? Adam turned me on to a podcast called oh man, what's it called? It's I think it's called This Is Not a Fish or something like that. I'll have to remember exactly the name, but it's something like that. But it's a comedy podcast from the UK that is a bunch of well-known British comedians talking about very like interesting facts and kind of making jokes about it and stuff. So I've been enjoying that, and started watching a documentary as well called Telemarketing, and it's about the kind of the very first like big scam telemarketing company in I believe in the 80s. It's on HBO, but it's fascinating. So it was this company that was raising money for mostly police and organizations, and they would claim to be raising for the district police, fraternal brothers of police, like the unions and things, and then they would keep 90% of the money, and basically had these almost like warehouses full of workers that, because they were making so much money, they just kind of let anything go. So like you'll see like someone there is drinking a beer and someone there is smoking and weed and somebody's snorting heroin and like in the middle of scamming people out of money. It's pretty wild. So like one of the guys that worked there was like, this is insane. I'm going to start recording what's happening here. And so all this footage for the documentary is like from these guys that used to work there. Pretty nuts.
It's crazy. What streaming platform is it on?
That's on what used to be HBO Max, but is now just Max.
Man, I wish we had HBO Max. I'm going to the States on September 2nd, so luckily I'll have access to it when I'm there.
It's not available in Canada?
I don't think it is, unfortunately.
That seems wild.
Yeah, not even Hulu.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we have like Netflix, Amazon Prime. I don't know. I feel like the States off. This is me personally. But
where are you coming when you come down?
I'm going to New York for 3 days, and then I'm going to be in Raleigh for the rest of the month, like kind of where I was 2 summers ago.
Yeah, very cool.
My dad is got a grant from the city of Raleigh to like host this like really big festival in downtown Raleigh that celebrates shoegaze artists, kind of the emerging genre of shoegaze, and I'm gonna go to like support him and everything. So
that's cool. What is a shoegaze artist? I don't know what that is.
Shoegaze, it's like do you know Mac DeMarco?
I don't.
No. Shoegaze, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like, it's really funny because when you think of the genre, you think of like looking at your shoes, but it's not like that when you listen to that music. It's like I could send you some artists as an example, but I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. I'm very curious.
Yeah. It's my dad's in a band, and they really kind of are trying to be a part of that genre. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to do this like perspective thing with this character, so hope it's
I
working.
like that perspective thing.
I hope it's
It's working.
okay, thanks.
Yeah, very cool. Max, Rommel, if you're just coming in here, you missed one of your characters, so he'll show up for you a little bit later. But it's looking really cool.
How are things in LA right now?
Well, I'm outside of LA now, so I think LA is good. But I've been in Santa Clarita, which is a little bit outside of LA, for the last several months now. So we moved in March, I think.
Right, you told me that you moved, but I forgot where.
Yeah.
Where was it again?
Santa Clarita.
Santa Clarita.
So still very much like in the neighborhood, or the broad neighborhood, still in LA County, but out to the suburbs essentially, so that the kids can more easily have a place where they can run around and not be so much in the city. And we walk to school now in the morning, which is so cool and so nice. So,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah,
That's great. Wow. So yeah, I mean, again, congrats for the move. I've never been to Santa Clarita, but it must seem really nice, especially during the summer.
Yeah, it is nice. It's hot. It's hotter than it is in LA, so that's the only thing.
Nice.
But it's a good move.
Yeah, I like the heat actually, because in Vancouver, like the summers are pretty hot, but we get like when it's like fall, we get like I forgot how many days of rain, but we see more rain than sun here, and it's always cold and super depressing. So, I don't know. I love the heat when I can get it.
Yeah. Well, you'll be happy if you visit me here then, because I think we've had several days over 100 now this summer. So it's definitely toasty. But it's all good. Oh, whoever's koala this is, I forgot to turn on the recording time lapse part of this. So shoot. I always like that, but I forgot. So have to deal with the single image and the live stream, I suppose.
Whose character is this?
The one that I did, or the one that you're doing?
That I'm doing.
Let me go look. There are a couple of broadsiders that got posted. Let me see who posted that one. I can look who posted mine too. So the one I did is from cryptotaxlawyer.eth. Yes. Very cool. I just grabbed one that I liked. I didn't even look. So good on you. And yours, let's see, is from, hey, that's from Lady Valor.
Oh, again?
Again. That's awesome. I just grabbed ones that I like the look of. I didn't even really look who they're from, so that's awesome. Your dude, Glowsy. That's right. So, Lady Valor, you're getting an Amba collection of art. That's awesome.
Yeah. How do you spell Valor again? VALO.
VALOR. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I love it. So let's see. You know what? We've got about 20 minutes left in the stream time. So I'm gonna try to knock out one more. I do a quicker one.
Cool. I think all I gotta do is color now, so that won't take long, but I'm almost done.
Yeah, it's all good. Yes, Lady Valor's collecting amber art. That's right.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Super lucky.
All right, I'm gonna do a Bushido, I think. Let's see if I can do that.
Oh, and I also watched the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing yesterday for the first time.
I have not seen that. How was?
I wouldn't like. I think it's nothing to really see, Evan. Honestly. I just watched it out of curiosity, not to take a stance or anything. But I don't know. I don't think things as serious as that should be publicly broadcasted. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a world.
Right? Exactly.
All right. Let's see. Oh, you know what? This one, let me turn on the time lapse. There we go. All right. I don't know whose Bushido this is either, but it's I'm doing, I guess, two of these kind of masks today, so that's kind of fun.
Cool.
I think what else I've been, like, I actually do consume a pretty good amount of stuff, and I just can't think of anything else.
It's hard to answer on the spot sometimes, you know.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still thinking. I think, what else have I been consuming? What program do you use to illustrate?
This is Clip Studio Paint. I do use Procreate quite a bit as well, but I like both. But I've been using Clip Studio more recently. I went through a period where I was like really only using Clip Studio, and then really only using Procreate for a while, and now I'm kind of back to Clip Studio for at least now.
Nice. I actually downloaded Clip Studio the other day, out of curiosity, and it looks a little bit like Illustrator a bit.
It is. I mean, it's got I think for making comics, it is probably the best app that there is, because so much of the tool set is actually really tailored towards that.
Oh.
So like, you can do full comic pages and lettering, and it has like containers for making panel borders, and like it's a lot of webtoons artists use Clip Studio. But it's kind of custom made for that in some ways, but then it's also just got a really good drawing engine. So I think it's like Procreate does too, but I think they of the things, like, it's much better than Photoshop or kind of other like general purpose, in my opinion, for specifically for drawing.
Interesting. That's good to know. I'll keep that in mind. It seems like they have like a lot of like brushes that look really nice. I mean, like I know Procreate has a lot of brushes, but it seems like they have a different variety of them.
You need a little help? Well, you're live. Do you want to say hi?
Hi. Hello.
This is Max, everyone. Max, what do you think? What do you think of my friend's drawing? Okay.
I did drawing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You just ate the her drawing?
Yeah.
What about mine? Are you going to have mine too? Are you still hungry?
Okay.
Oh, okay, good. Thanks.
Can you please help me take off my shirt?
Help you take off your shirt?
Yeah.
On camera?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Try to keep yourselves contained. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. You going to the shower?
Yeah.
All right. Yes, it is a mini me. That is nonsense. I don't know what the Spider-Verse soundtrack turned into, but all right.
What kind of music are you playing right now?
I was playing the Spider-Verse soundtrack, and then I think it just kept randomly choosing songs.
Okay, cool. Okay, I got one. What kind of music are you listening to right now? Like, are you into right now in general?
Man, I don't know. I'm because of I'm gonna blame it on the kids, but we're listening to like a lot of kind of dance pop music that I don't even know what it is.
Nice.
And then I am definitely a child of the 90s, so like lots of stuff there. But yeah, this is the one area of pop culture which I'm always ashamed to admit. Like I've never been a massive like into particular bands other than just like, oh, I like that song and I like that song or I like that playlist or whatever. I went through a phase of like being really into like interesting mashup artists, like people that are doing interesting remixes of stuff. Like just I couldn't even tell you like specific names other than what's his name? Oh, see, I can't even think of it. There was a guy that like became really popular on YouTube that was doing like all kinds of mashup remixes, and so I got into that for a minute. But I don't know. What are you listening to?
I listen to a lot of like 90s hip hop actually. Yeah, I just I love like modern hip hop, but like I think what will always be special about 90s hip hop is the ability that artists had to tell stories through their lyrics.
Totally.
And I think that was just like super cool. And I'm also listening to listen to like a lot of like black metal, heavy metal, and yeah, like grindcore, like pretty loud stuff. But occasionally I like to take a break and listen to some soft things like Lana Del Rey or something. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fan of 90s hip hop. Because we're doing this Run DMC project, which is also super cool, or not Run DMC, I should make sure I clarify, DMC, DMC of Run DMC. But I've been actually revisiting a lot of kind of all of hip hop because we're incorporating a bunch of that stuff into into the story and into the world. So it's been fun to kind of go back and kind of trace the whole history from, Grandmaster Flash, which was kind of the first person to figure out how to do break beats, all the way through the, Run DMC era, which was kind of the first, kind of mainstream in a lot of ways, hip hop act, and the first ones to get a significant brand deal with Adidas, and then of course things like Public Enemy and kind of the more relevance of around experience and storytelling, and all of that. So it's such a. I think the other thing about '90s hip hop to me is like you're really watching the birth of. I mean, it goes back much older than that, but I think that era you're really watching the birth of something in the culture in a way that is pretty interesting to be able to experience.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think like an idea that I had with Misophobic since I actually started working with you guys was like, how the characters are always like in the car driving around and doing things. One of the things that I'm really looking forward to illustrating in the comic is like how the characters are always listening to music on the radio. And I wanted to do like some kind of I don't know how to describe it, like a mini like clip or like playlist of like all the music that was like played in Misophobic's, kind of like Dean's playlist, Vivis's playlist, Cleo's, Scott's.
Love that idea.
So yeah, I think it's really cool that you guys are doing that.
Yeah, love that idea. I think we had one other creator at one point that did a like a playlist specific for the comic, which I thought was cool. And so it didn't like sync up. It's like we couldn't like sync it up in the app to go like, here it's auto playing when you start reading the comic. But what he did was say like, click play on the first tap and then kind of keep going, with the story, which I thought was cool.
That's super cool.
Whoops. Did you? I assume you saw since we were talking about it, but did you like the new Spider-Verse movie?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
No, it was totally worth it. I think I think I actually almost cried in one of them. It was just so like beautiful. Like not because I was just like sad about the movie. Like I just thought it was just, I don't know, like obviously film is art, but it was like art, like
Yeah.
something you'd see in like a museum or something.
Yeah.
So I loved it. And the experimentation in it and the different styles. And you know, the only thing that got me was the cliffhanger in the end, but you know.
Yeah. the annoyingness of the cliffhanger at the end.
Yeah, so that's the only complaint I have, but you know, that means it's more Spider-Verse content. So.
That's right. Of
Yeah,
course.
what did
Now
you think?
I absolutely loved it as well. I think they just came out recently and we're like, when is the next one coming out? And they're like, when it's done. Like,
Yeah.
no! I mean, yay and no.
No, literally. Did you see Barbie?
I did see Barbie. I actually loved Barbie.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, I loved seeing Ryan Gosling as Ken.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's one of my favorite actors. So I was happy to see him in a fun role.
Yeah, we ended up at the playground with him and his wife and kids one day in LA.
Ryan Gosling?
Yeah.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah. Eva Mendes and him.
What is he like? Is he cool?
I mean, we just were like hanging out in the vicinity of them while our kids played on the playground. So I can't say too much. Like I can't say like, we were best friends that day, but they were cool. Yeah.
Man, I'm jealous. That's super cool.
It's the occasional thing that you get in LA is occasionally you run into celebs.
Yeah, no, I bet. Have you like seen like any other celebrities while in LA?
For sure. I mean, everyone from them to Kevin Smith to been out to meetings at restaurants at times where you'll be like, oh, there's like LeBron or whoever walking through. It's like pretty much runs the gamut. But yeah,
that's so cool.
It is, but it's like then you also kind of realize like, oh, they really are just people that are out there living their lives, doing their thing. But it is still always a little fun to go like, hey, it's that guy.
Yeah, no, that must be very surreal to like see them as like, because
yeah, I was to say, especially like when it first happens, like the first few times, and you're just like, oh my God, like that person exists.
Yeah, that's super cool. I wish I could say for the same for myself in Vancouver, but one day.
I mean, there's a lot of production in that area, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
There is the Last of Us was filmed in downtown Vancouver.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool. But there's always tons of film stuff going around downtown.
Totally.
Did you see Oppenheimer?
I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet.
I didn't see it either yet, too.
Definitely do want to, but haven't yet.
Yeah.
I didn't do the Barbenheimer. We took the kids to see Barbie, but we didn't think we could take them to see Oppenheimer.
Did you all dress up in pink?
I didn't, but there was some pink represented in the family for sure.
Nice.
And then I don't know if at the theater you went to they had this, but they had the Barbie box that you could get in and take pictures and stuff at the theater.
Oh yeah, we didn't have that in our theater, which we were literally talking about that. My friends were like, "Where's the Barbie box?" But
I gotta tell on my son because you guys saw Max Sherman in it. But when we left Barbie, like he's like, what exactly did he say? He's like, oh, I want to get a Barbie so I can put her in the box. And I was like, you have taken the wrong lesson from this. Kind of missed the whole point here.
I mean, yeah, the patriarchy, you know.
Patriarchy is in full effect in the next generation, in case anyone was worried. Yeah.
That's really cute, though. It's super funny.
Yeah.
Did you hear about Dale Gribble's voice actor?
Who voice actor?
The voice actor for Dale Gribble from King of the Hill.
Oh, that he passed away.
Yeah, I'm so sad about that.
Yeah. I think there's been quite a few people that have passed this year. I mean, it's always true every year, but yeah.
Yeah, I've been noticing that recently. Yeah, but it's really sad to see that. I'm really excited about the new, you know, the new King of the Hill, though.
What's happening with the new King of the Hill?
I think they got renewed for like a new season or something, and it's coming soon.
Is it like a new? Is it like a revival, or has it been on this entire time? I haven't actually seen it in quite a while.
Oh, like a revival.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Like what they did with like Beavis and Butthead, just like a revival of King of the Hill with like the politics and of today and everything, which I'm excited to see.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I love that show.
Yeah, you know what? To answer your question, I've been binging that on Disney Plus.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this Bushido is a little rougher than I normally want to go, but that's all right.
Are you trying to follow the style of the original artist?
No, not the style so much as just making sure that I'm trying to get the proportions and the detail roughly the same. So it's in the neighborhood.
Cool. How is Adam?
He's good. He's good. Still in Panama. He's been doing a lot of the heavy lifting on the Wanderer stuff, which is great.
That's great.
And I think getting starting into production on the main series there, which is also going to be very cool.
I found the Wanderer's Instagram, so I gave him a follow immediately.
Oh, good. Yeah. Did you see the game trailer?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that just came out yesterday, I believe. It looks really good.
Okay, cool. I'll check it out. So the camera on here flipped like my art, so it looks a bit strange. But with it unflipped, it looks a lot better. Yeah.
Oh, I think Lady Valor is over the moon right now. This looks amazing.
Awesome. Thanks. I'll after this, I'll just kind of correct some things. So the color. So, but yeah, I think, yeah, this is okay.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
I love the original collection, but I actually like what you did even more.
Thanks.
Really
Thank
cool.
you. Appreciate it. I know like there's like a trend going around with like perspective and stuff on like TikTok and everything. So wanted to give it a try.
Get to show that off as well.
Sorry?
You should show that off as well then.
The TikTok?
I mean, use that on TikTok as well. Show it off.
Oh yeah, no. 100%.
All right. Well, I don't know how you're feeling, but do you want to kind of call it there for the moment, and then we'll do like little last touch-ups or whatever, and then just shoot it over when you're done?
Yeah. I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm good to go.
Awesome. It looks amazing, but thank you so much for joining today and for bringing your awesome talent and all that good stuff. As always, it's so cool.
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I'm a little jealous. Like I want an Ambo original. That's there.
Well, I'll have to hopefully choose yours next time. So.
Well, I never put mine in. I feel like that's not fair, so I'll just have to commission you separately. But
yeah.
It's very awesome. Well, all right. Well, thanks so much for anyone that tuned in. Thank you, Amba. Thank you, Julian. There were a few other people that weren't able to make it on today, but I think we're going to do this, every week or two, just to keep it going and have fun, and gives, I think, a fun creative outlet for us and for people to come and participate. And I think giving a taste of what these characters can look and feel like when they're interpreted in a different medium is also just a really cool thing to do. So I'm sure, hopefully, Amba will join us again for another session at some point, and there will be more to come.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me, Evan. It was a pleasure to be on this live draw. So thanks again. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, always. And yes, we'll have more updates on your Wanderers comic and Misophobics and all that coming soon as well. So with that, I'm going to say bye-bye and stay tuned for when the next one of these happens and for more from the Macroverse coming very soon. Amba, where can people connect with you if they want to say hi or just see more of your work?
You can connect with me on Instagram at amba.c. Like my name on the live stream right now is my Instagram handle. So yeah, send me a DM through there or anything, and I'd love to be able to have I'd be very happy to talk. So yeah, please.
Very cool. Yeah, Amba has a very cool Instagram channel and just tons of great art. So definitely check that out. I am, again, at Ebenverse on Twitter. I'm on Instagram as well, but spend most of my time on Twitter at this point, for better or for worse. And also at Macroverse for everything else that we're up to as a company. Most importantly, come into discord.gg/Macroverse and put your own characters in the character speaking channel for the chance to have them interpreted in this way in the future. And have a great weekend. Lots more to come.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Take care. Thanks, Samba.